Okay, looks like we're live. Hello everybody, all you rainbow warriors out there. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Wednesdays with MrTieDye. I believe we're on episode 25. Hard to believe. 25 weeks in a row we've been doing this. So, this week I'm going to do a Galaxy dye. It's one that the thumbnail that you guys saw on the video here was one I had done earlier this year, a few months back. It was a big tapestry, so this one's not nearly that big. But I had a lot of people asking me to do a video for it. So it's been on my list for a while, and then I think it was last week's live video, somebody had asked about a Galaxy dye. So this morning, when I still hadn't figured out what design to do, all of a sudden it came to me, Galaxy dye, and I remembered that was a request. So anyway, so that's what we're going to do. But just to spice it up a little bit more, it's going to be an ice dye. It's going to be dyed in the muck. But then the other thing that I'm doing is I'm mixing my powder and my soda ash together. So I've already mixed up some. I will, before we start dyeing, I will go ahead and show you how I mix this. But this is a recipe that our friend Gary Wayne Smith came up with. He uses it for his ice dyes and his hot water irrigation dyeing. So I decided that's what I was going to do. So I have a oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So before we get into today's show, I wanted to give some gratitude out there. We had some new members sign up since last week. So Brett, Colleen, my mom signed up as an ultimate MrTieDye fan, Amber, and Melissa. So thank you, much gratitude. I appreciate all the support that I can get for my channel. And then also in the last week, I had 2 more donations come through from PayPal from Margaret and Tamara. So thank you both for your donations. I appreciate the support. It really helps keep me going in making these videos. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to just dive right in here. So looks like we got a bunch of people in the house. We got 56 people watching so far, but I know that number kind of climbs over time. So this time, since I'm mixing my soda ash in right with my powdered dye, I did not soak this in soda ash. I just got this barely damp. Well, I did a pre-wash on it, and then I dried it most of the way. So it's just barely damp right now. It's even drier than when I pull something out from spinning it out. I did put it in the dryer for a while. Just because doing an ice dye, I wanted it to be as dry as possible, but it's difficult to fold up a dry tapestry, so I wanted it just slightly damp. So, and this here is a bigger tapestry. Normally I do the ones that are 56 inches by 58 inches, and this one here is one of the ones that's, I think, like 54 inches by 88 inches after the shrinkage there. So it's just a little bit bigger of a tapestry, so it's a rectangle. And it's of course too big to show you exactly how I'm folding it. So instead of, I'm going to fold it in half, but I'm not folding it straight in half like this here. I want to put a couple spirals in to represent some galaxies, and I want them to be kind of off center here instead of just right in the middle. So what I'm going to do is fold this corner down like this here. So when I stand up to fold the tapestry, this is what I'm doing to it. I'm just folding one corner down. That way I can do one twist here for my galaxies, and it's going to put 2 of them on the page. So that's what I'm going to do to start with here, is get this folded in half part way. So once I get it kind of folded awkwardly in half, and I can lay that back down. And let's see. So I think I'm going to do my spiral right here. And this here is just my own interpretation of the Galaxy dye. It's going to be similar to the one that was in the thumbnail, but it may not be the same as what everybody else is doing out there. I'm just kind of doing my own thing. That's what I love about tie-dye, so I encourage you guys to do your own thing. You can take what I do and then twist it in your own fashion. and make your own creations. Or you can try to do it exactly the same way. It doesn't matter to me. You guys do what you like. So anyways, I'm going to start twisting this. So this here is, like I say, the 2 layers here. I folded it over, so I'm going to have 2 spirals on there. So, and for me, I just like to have a little bit of a spiral galaxy going on if I'm going to do a space themed die or a galaxy die. Got to have a little bit of a galaxy in there. So I just give this a little bit of a twist here. Just try to straighten the folds out. My pleats, I usually will stretch that out to create these big long pleats, wrap those around the center spot here. So that's all I'm doing there, and then the rest of this is just going to be scrunched up, and then I'm going to stuff it in my container here, and we'll start putting some dye on there. Well, I'll show you how I mix the dye first, but that's courtesy of our own special Gary Wayne Smith. So thank you for that. Anyway, so we're going to start scrunching this up now. So I got my spiral, and now I'm just going to kind of scrunch up around it just so that I don't unspiral it. I kind of can hold that in place. And then once I get scrunched all the way around it, then I'm just going to scrunch all the rest of this up. And you can smooth this out nice and flat if you want to, but since this here is going to be kind of a random space theme here, sometimes the extra little wrinkles in there are just going to add a little bit more detail to your galaxy die. So, and for me, I'm going to do this in the muck. And basically what I'm doing is I'm going to put it into one of these pans here. So I'm just going to try and scrunch this up kind of in this rectangular shape here. And then I'm going to loosely tie it, and then we'll just kind of stuff it down in there. And let's see, I see a question on there. Was the tooth pulled successfully? Yes, it was. Any of you that saw the picture on Facebook, that was taken just minutes after I woke up from having my tooth pulled, and you could see I was not in any pain. And I've only had just a few little bits of pain. Of course, they gave me some medicine for that, and I got some of my own medicine. So I haven't been having any really problems. The main thing is, of course, when you get a tooth pulled, you have a hole in your gum, and you got to make sure you don't get food particles down in there. So I'm swishing out with salt water and taking care of that, but I'm definitely thankful to have my tooth out of my head. Okay, so here's my scrunched up thing. I need to scrunch it up a little bit tighter. Oh, there it is. My kite string. I'm going to tie this up a little bit here. I don't need to be too precise with it because really I just need it to hold together long enough to get it into the container there. So, and let's see, what else do we got going on out there? How is everybody else doing? We still got wildfires going on here in Oregon. We've had a little bit of, I wouldn't say sun per se, but we've had some extra light shine through here in Corvallis the last couple days. And there was even one night that we went outside and we were able to see just a little bit of the stars. So the smoke has lessened up for us here in Corvallis. I mean, it's still smoky out there, but last week I had to have a lamp on because there was not enough natural light coming in this window to light up for the video. So today I don't have, I'm just using natural light. So that's definitely a sign that our smoke is not as thick. So we're doing fine here in Corvallis, but I know there's a lot of other displaced people that have either lost their homes or are in worry about losing their homes. So we try to keep those people in our thoughts, send peace, love, and light out to the world. I know Oregon's not the only place that's having wildfires. I know they're going on all over the West Coast here. So I try to keep them in my thoughts and in my heart and send love and light out to them, give them strength, give them some hope to get through these times. Definitely not the easy times. But what about 2020 has been easy? Besides these Wednesdays with MrTieDye, this has been easy. Anyways, I'm just rambling now. So we're getting this all tied up here. Like I say, since this here is just kind of a loose scrunch that I'm doing, I'm not too worried about all of the ins and outs. We're dyeing this in the muck, so I'm not worried about it being all completely one level. Some of my pleats are folded over each other, and I'm going to squish this up even more when I stuff it into that bin. So I think we're going to be just fine. Let's see. I can kind of see a little bit. We're finally getting some clear here in Southern California. Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, we had seen on the news, and of course it can always change, but that, or not the news per se, it was the weather, that we're expecting some rain here in Oregon at least. I am hoping that it's the whole West Coast that gets some rain, but we're supposed to get some rain here starting, I don't know, today or tomorrow. So we're just gonna keep praying for rain here and see what we can get here. Anyways, we're almost done getting this thing tied up here. Let's see, can you do this with a shirt? Yes, you can. Yeah, any of the designs that I tie up, if I tie them on a shirt or a tapestry, almost always I would say that you could do it on the other one. So if I tie it on a shirt, you could certainly tie it onto a tapestry or vice versa. It's just a matter of how you arrange everything. Sometimes when you're going bigger on a tapestry, sometimes it can form some extra little challenges for you when you're going big instead of small, but sometimes going small is a little bit difficult too because you run out of space. But you just have to kind of make do with what space you have, and yes, you can certainly swap these designs around depending on what you're dyeing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is kind of stuff it down in here, and I'm going to open this scrunch up just a little bit more and try to just get that to fit right in the bottom. I should have scrunched this a little bit wider instead of quite so long, but I think we're still going to make it work here. The main thing I want to keep is my spiral here that I can get dye put on there. My sides are coming up a little bit more. If I had just a little bit longer of a container, I don't want to put it in one of my big bins because I want to dye this in the muck. I don't want to have to put a whole ton of ice in here just to get enough to create the muck. So I usually, when I'm doing in the muck, I usually try to do a smaller container. And I know I'm making this look a little bit difficult here. It'd probably be easier if maybe I'll cut a few of these strings now that I have it in here.
I got one.
You got one, what?
A bigger container.
Oh, how big?
That big.
You sure you don't mind me doing tie-dye in that? Okay, Julie's coming to my rescue. She got me a slightly bigger container. Yay, Julie! Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that'll work much better. Thank you. Okay, and I might go ahead and cut some more of these strings just so I can kind of smooth this out down in the bottom of the container here. Basically, I'm just trying to get this to fit as flat as possible in the bottom. Yeah, that's going to work nicely. Okay. And then I can still see my spiral right there, so I think we're good to go. I think that's going to be just the perfect size container. Okay, so now that we have that done, the next thing I'm going to do, so I have my colors that I'm going to put on there. I think with the Galaxy, I'm going to use raspberry for that. And these colors I've already mixed up. Turquoise, I like to have a little bit of blue in my space. I got cobalt, a little darker blue, and Powerberry, which is a dark purple. So those are 3 of them. And then one other color I'm going to use that I haven't mixed yet is blue violet. So that's what we're going to do, is mix up the blue violet right now. So basically what Gary's recipe is 2 to 1. So 2 parts dye, 1 part soda ash. So what I'm going to do is put 2 tablespoons of dye in here, and then I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of soda ash. So I'm going to put on my little respirator here. Okay, so I went ahead and I put 2 tablespoons of blue violet in there and 1 tablespoon of soda ash. And then I usually just tighten that up really, you know, put the lid on nice and secure, shake it up. I kind of spin it around here just to kind of distribute that soda ash all the way throughout the dye there. And then this is good. The soda ash will not activate the dye until it gets wet. So it can stay in this form here for, I guess, indefinitely, as long as you keep it dry, the lid on there. That's going to be just fine. And then as soon as the ice melts, gets water on this dye and the soda ash, then the dye becomes active, and then it'll start bonding right with the cotton. So let's see. That's my Powerberry is my darkest, then blue violet. Oh, I guess cobalt is in there. Turquoise, and then raspberry. So the next thing I'm going to do.
Do you have soda ash in all of those pots?
Yes, I do. I already pre-mixed the, Julie's asked, I'm sure somebody else out there asked, I already pre-mixed all of these here with 2 parts dye, 1 part soda ash. I didn't want to try and do that for all of them on camera. That's why I just saved 1 of them for that, so that I could show you what I was doing. But all of these have been mixed in the same fashion. The only difference is, I think cobalt, I put just 1 tablespoon of dye and 1/2 tablespoon of soda ash. But still, it's the 2 parts dye, 1 part soda ash. So I wanted to have those pre-mixed, but still show you guys how I was doing it. So now it comes to the application of the dye. So I'm going to put my mask on, and then I will try to show you guys which color I am using each time that I'm applying it here. Because other than Luke, it's hard to hear through this thing. But Luke can hear me.
Luke, I am your father.
So, raspberry. And I'm going to put the raspberry right across on my, right there, my spoons. I'm putting the raspberry right here on my spiral. Okay, so there's the raspberry. Next I'm going to go with blue violet. Next I'm going to use cobalt, and I'm going to put the cobalt right in here with the spiral also. Okay, next I'm going to use turquoise. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put ice over top of this, and then I'm going to put just a little bit of the power berry over top of the ice. That's my one of my darker colors. The cobalt is dark, and like I said, I put that in mostly with the Galaxy Spiral here. Okay, so I think I'm going to add a little bit more dye. The more I think about this, maybe this isn't quite enough. This here is an experiment, so I'm going to add a little bit of extra on here just to make sure we get this coated good. So I think I'm going to start with blue violet. I'm going to add a little bit more of that all the way around here. Okay, and I think I'm going to put a little bit more raspberry for my galaxy there, my spiral. Like I say, this is an experiment for me. I haven't done this before, so I just want to kind of test this out. Alrighty. And maybe a little bit more cobalt right here in my galaxy. So this is the cobalt again. Okay, I think we'll call that good. And then, like I say, I'm going to put ice on this, and then we're going to put a little bit of power berry over top of the whole thing. Okay, so there's my ice. And then one more time with the mask, we're going to put a little bit of power berry over the top. That'll be, like I say, a darker purple, and hopefully that'll just kind of go in and give me some more highlights and mix in with that turquoise. I just like lots of blue shades and purple shades in my Galaxy dyes. So this is power berry. Okay, so I think we're going to call that good on here. And we're going to set this aside. I'll clean up my space here. This here is going to sit and melt. But of course, here in Oregon with the fires and stuff that we have going on, we don't have much sun. So the temperatures have also been, we were supposed to have 90 to 100 degree weather last week or this week or something, but we've been down in the 60s, so it's going to take longer for this here to melt. So I don't know if I'll get to my reveal video until maybe Saturday, possibly Sunday, depending on how long it takes to melt. And then, like I say, I'm going to leave it sit in the muck. And the whole key with dyeing in the muck is you don't mess with the muck. Once you put it in there, you don't want to be lifting it up to check it. You don't want to be sloshing it around. So I'm going to pretty much, I mean, right now I can pick this up and set it on the counter, but after that I'm going to leave this sit in one place and let it do its whole batching. After the ice melts, it'll batch for 48 hours, and then I'll do my rinse and reveal for you guys. So that one went by pretty quickly. Make sure I don't have any remnants of dye powder here before I break out my tapestry, because we have the tapestry, and then of course I'll be going into the Q&A section. So if you guys do have any questions, you can type them into the chat box. If the questions are specifically for me, if you type them in capital letters, then that makes it easier for Julie to find them, and then I will be answering all of those questions. But we'll get the auction going first, and then I'll get into the questions. Alrighty. So, you guys remember from last week I did the 7-pointed star. Although during the video I forgot to add the orange and the emerald green. I got all done with the yellow and the bright green, and then I finished up and I went right into the next section. I didn't discover it until I went to do my washout that it didn't look right. So I went ahead and added the orange and added the emerald green excuse me, and then I put it out in my vegetable steamer, and I left it out there I think for 45 minutes. I let it cool for an hour or two, and then I went in and I did my washout, and of course made the reveal video, and there's a link to that over there. But we're going to go ahead and start the bidding on this 7-pointed star tapestry. So we got our nice points here, and we got the orange highlights coming up into all of the points. We got the other little highlights. These were the ones that I put on there, and then of course the little round blob above the points. So the 7-pointed star tapestry is now up for auction, up for bidding here. So you guys can just place your bids right in the chat box. I'm just trying to move this closer to me so I can keep an eye on the bidding. Let's see. I just want to make sure somebody didn't place a bid in there before. Okay. Yeah, I don't see any bids yet. Okay, so this here tapestry is officially open for auction, for bidding, whatever. Just place your bids in the chat box, and then I'm going to go into the question answer. Julie's already got me some questions here. So you guys can continue to ask questions. She'll write them down and bring them out to me. Okay, I'm new. How long will my dyes last? If you're talking about your mixed dyes, once you mix them into the liquid. Okay, I see we got a $50 bid from Tie-Dye with Ernie Cox. So thank you, Ernie. So we've kicked off the bidding. So once you mix the Procyon dyes with liquid, I have mine around for 2 or 3 weeks and still get good color out of them. Although all of my liquid dyes are getting towards the end here. Yeah, so these ones here this one was mixed on August 26th, but I put a piece of duct tape on my bottles so that I can write the date that they were mixed, so then I know how long. But at the 2 or 3 week mark, it doesn't mean that the dyes are no longer good. It just means that they're not going to produce the same colors. So you can still use them, but usually what I'll do at the 3 week mark is I take another scoop of dye. I put pour that dye into a mixing cup and put another scoop of powder in, blend it up, and that then helps bump those colors back up. And then I try to make sure I use all of my dyes. But even if I don't use them all up in the next 2 to 3 week period, then what I'll do is I still use them. I might, if I have a bunch of new dyes and I have a couple old dyes, then I'll just kind of mix those in and use them on the same thing, as long as it's not a custom order, just on the ones that I'm making. And sometimes those muted colors along with the bright colors just kind of makes everything pop. The other thing you can do once you mix up your liquid dyes, if you have a spare fridge that you can store them in, that's going to increase the life also. I don't know how long, but somebody has said it'll make them last for a couple months. But I don't personally know, because I don't have a spare fridge to store mine in. So anyway, let's see. Can you tell us what Hippie Christmas means? Hippie Christmas is when I do my washouts. Whenever I'm opening up a tapestry or a t-shirt that's been tie-dyed, it just every one of them feels like Christmas to me, something new that I haven't seen yet. So I named it Hippie Christmas many years ago, and it just kind of stuck. So if you hear me say Hippie Christmas, it's doing a washout and a reveal of a new tie-dye. So let's see. Okay, we still got the high bid sitting at $50 from Ernie on this. So we're going to go to the next question. What is the minimum time to let your shirt soak in the dye before rinsing? That one is difficult about a minimum time. For me, a minimum time is 24 hours. I prefer to leave mine for 48 hours. But I've also, one time I was in a rush and I needed to do a pastel t-shirt, but I didn't have the time to sit down and pour out and mix up all of my dyes into their way down diluted. So what I did was I tied up a shirt that'd been soaked in soda ash. I put my dyes on, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then I washed it out. Most of the dyes washed away, but some of them stayed, so I got myself a pastel. So some people say that they leave theirs for 8 hours with some heat, and that does them good. It's really just kind of subjective to yourself. The longer that you leave your dyes, I think up to maybe 48 hours. I'm not sure if any longer than 48 hours is going to do anything else for the brightness of your colors. But the time in between when you dye it to when you wash it, the longer you leave it, the darker your dyes are going to be. So if you're happy with your colors of how they look after 24 hours, then I say 24 hours is your time frame. You don't need to leave them for longer. We got a $55 bid from Ashley. Thank you. So yeah, you can kind of just play around with that how you like. Oh, and thank you. Let's see here. Brett. Thank you, Brett, for that super chat there. It's very much appreciated. So yeah, you guys can just kind of make your own determination. It's just though, if you're looking to get darker colors, then just try experimenting with leaving your dyes for longer and also adding some heat to them. The heat is another thing that helps set the dyes. So that's just another helpful thing there for brighter, darker colors. But I guess there really isn't a minimum time. It's just a time that works for you. And that's the main thing. You're the one doing the tie-dye, so you can kind of set your own rules. You don't have to follow any certain rules. The main rules, if you want your colors to last, is you need to work on a natural fiber: cotton, rayon, silk, bamboo, hemp. All of those are natural fibers. And you need to, if you're using Procyon dyes, you need to use soda ash. You can either pre-soak in soda ash, you can tie your thing up and then soak it in soda ash, or you can tie your tea, dye your tea, and then add soda ash. And I've done that. I just put soda ash in a bottle like this here, so I'll tie it, dye it, and then I just go over the whole thing with my bottle of soda ash. So there's some rules, but there's some flexibility in the rules. And then as far as the time, the longer you leave it, the darker you get. Okay, there we go. That's all I got for that one. Let me make sure if we got any more bids. I think Ashley still has the high bid at 55. We're going to leave this open for a little while longer here. I think sometimes I close them out too soon and people that wanted to bid didn't get a chance to bid. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this open for a little while longer. The bidding right now sits the high bid is at 55. Could you use a heat lamp from a lizard enclosure to speed up production? Yes. Yeah, any way that you can add heat to it is going to help. The main thing is you don't want to dry your t-shirt or your tapestry out. They need to stay semi-wet, I mean at least damp. But as soon as if it dries out completely, then the dyes stop working, and then of course you're not going to get anything more out of it. But I've heard lots of different ways. The heat lamp from a lizard enclosure, that should work perfect. Some people, they will use a heating pad. What I do is I put mine in these bins that have lids on them, and I set them out in the sun in the summertime. But if it's wintertime and I'm using my heater, then I can stack these bins in the back room right next to a heater vent, and that helps provide them with some heat. Some people will wrap theirs in plastic, or like black plastic especially, and set them out in the sun, or they'll put them out in their car because the cars tend to get heat. So yeah, whatever way you can get heat into it is going to be a good thing to help speed your production, your dye setting up. Can you please put up the link to your sinew dowel supplier? Okay, the person that I buy them from is Nikolai Saving, and he's over on Facebook. So let me look him up here. Yeah, I don't know that he has a regular store or anything, so I think the way that you buy from him is just send him a message on Facebook. But I will put a link to his Facebook page so that you can find him easily over on Facebook. And just ask him about sinew dowels, and he will get you set up with a sale. See, when did you do that that shirt? Love the red. Oh, this one here I didn't do. This was one of the ones that was sent to me, and I cannot remember the name of the people that sent this to me. I've got so many that what I need to do is have, if people send me a gift, just have them write their name on it so I can remember. I do have it someplace, but yes, this one here is nice. They did a good job with the red and the black here. So this here was a gift from another dyer. So I apologize for not having the name handy. I've just received a whole bunch of t-shirts recently, and I don't want to say the wrong name. Okay, I don't have any more questions at the moment. I'm going to, let's see, make sure about our bidding here.
I got you some more.
And Julie's coming with more questions. So far I see Ashley still has the high bid at 55 for this 7-pointed star tapestry. I'm scrolling down. I don't see any other bids. Okay, yep, no bids at this point. So if you want to get in on the bidding, I'm going to probably close it out in just a few minutes. But right now, the 5-pointed or 7-pointed star tapestry is at $55. And if you want to see the whole thing, you can see it over through my launch links. It's the second link in this list. If you click this link here, this is my launch links. It's got all of the places I am, all of my social media platforms. But the second one will click you into one of my Facebook albums where I post these pictures, and I always put the current one all the way up at the top. So if you want to see the whole tapestry, then you can click there for that. Okay, it looks like Zach just bid 60. Thank you, Zach. And Julie brought me more questions. Powder or liquid, which is best for intense colors? That one, I can't say that one is better than the other. I haven't fully explored ice dyeing. I've only probably done maybe a few hundred ice dyes since I started doing tie-dye 20 years ago, but I've probably done tens of thousands of liquid dyes. Liquid has just always been my preference. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I got Zach bid 60 for the tapestry here. So yeah, I've mostly just done liquid dyeing, but I've been having fun playing with the ice dyeing, and it was not playing. I mean, it's still dyeing them. I love the process of it, and I love the way that the colors go. And I've seen some fantastic ice dyed tapestries out there from people. I still haven't completely mastered it, but I think you can get bright, brilliant colors from liquid or from ice. Okay, Ashley just bid 65 on the 7-point star. So yeah, the best thing to do is just to test both of them and see what you like. I mean, you can go over to, there's an Ice Dye page. Zach just bid 70. Thank you, Zach. And thank you, Ashley, both of you guys, for bidding. So you can go over to the Ice Dye page on Facebook and look up more information there, but that's also a place where you could probably see a lot of the detail work that comes from the Ice Dye. Ashley just bid 75. Thank you. How do I fix a shirt that didn't come out as planned? I tried a radio wave with red, orange, and yellow. Can I dye it again? Yes. Yes, I love dyeing them again. I call it an over dye. Okay, Zach just bid 80 for this. Thank you, Zach. Let me get my over dye video up. What I do is I soak it in soda ash again. And usually I'll use a separate small pail, and I pour just enough soda ash in just to kind of get it sloppy wet. And I soak it for 20 minutes. But sometimes a little bit of the excess dye can leach out. So I don't put it into my main soda ash bucket because I don't want to spoil the whole bucket. Although it doesn't technically spoil the whole bucket, because I have, when I turned my water blue, my soda ash blue, I took a couple t-shirts and threw them in there, and the t-shirts soaked up all of that blue dye out of there. But it was still kind of a pain that I had to wait overnight for that to kind of soak everything up. Okay, Ashley just bid 85. Thank you, Ashley. So anyways, I pour the dye, or the soda ash, over the top of the t-shirt that I want to dye, wring it out, tie it up again, and I usually will tie it up with okay, let's see, we got Zach bid 90, and then Wednesday Shatley bid 100 for the 7-point star. So thank you, Wednesday. Oh, okay, so here is the over dye video. So I'll tie it up kind of like a Ron Star or something, usually with sinew, and then I dye it with dark colors. But the other thing you can do is try tying it back up the same exact way and adding more of the same colors if you want to try to fix it that way. But if you want to just kind of re-dye it a different color, then whatever colors you had from the first time are going to kind of show up a little bit bleeding through the over dye. So I just like the way those look. So yes, that's definitely a way that you can fix one that didn't come out the way that you liked it. But the other thing, sometimes it's amazing that you can post a picture of the one that didn't come out how you liked it, and somebody else is going to just love it and buy it. So that's always another possibility. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that somebody else isn't going to love it. Excuse me. Okay, we're still sitting at $100 here. We'll leave this open for another few minutes, and then we'll probably close it out. But so far, Wednesday is the high bid at 100 for this. Do you have a video EIG wigwag design? I don't have a video of the wigwag just yet. I have played with that design over the years before it had its name Wigwag. So I've kind of done it a few times. I did one recently, I think in April of this year. Seems like it was probably 3 years ago, but really it was just a few months. And it came out really good, and then I had a bunch of questions, so I do have Wigwag on my list over there. But I have 2 or 3 above it, so I'm trying to get these knocked out. But doing these Wednesday videos, anyways, yes, I will get to the Wigwag. I mixed my dyes with chemical water. How long will the dye be usable? With chemical water, as long as the chemical water doesn't include soda ash, then your dye should last for 2 to 3 weeks. And yeah, I did answer that earlier in the video. But once you mix them up into liquid form, then I have them around for 2 to 3 weeks. I usually will write a date on the bottle. I put the duct tape on there so I can write a date on there. And at the 2 or 3 week mark, I will add more powder to them and blend them up again. But it doesn't mean that at 3 weeks that the dyes are completely dead. It just means that they produce a lighter color, lighter shade. So I usually will have a few of those kind of mixed in with my newer dyes, and I still use them on my t-shirts. Yeah, I'm done with those. Okay. Looks like the high bid for the 7-pointed star is still sitting at 100, so we're going to close that out in about a minute. So if you guys want to do any more bidding, now is the time. I think I'll answer one more question, and then I'm going to close this out unless I get more bids. Let's see. Can you show how you do the Superman logo? The Superman logo is a stitched design. It's non-symmetrical, so it's just one of the more complicated stitched designs. I haven't figured out a way to fold that one. I just stitch it. So I will post a video. I can spell it. Here is one that's the dark side of the moon, a stitched design. It's a non-symmetrical one, so it'll be kind of dealing with like you let's see. So the Superman is going to be stitched in a similar fashion to what the dark side of the moon is. You're going to stitch it, and it's going to, for me, I've tried doing the stitch just on the front, and that was such a pain. I just stitched the whole t-shirt so it comes out forward on the front and backwards on the back. As long as if you're working on the inside of the t-shirt, you need to make sure you reverse your image. But yeah, that Superman's not one that I've ever tried to fold it just because of the detail in it. And let's see. Okay, well, as far as somebody asked about Wednesday being out, they don't have to. I'm not sure what you're meaning by that. Oh, I see. I just went back. That's really cool. I'm sorry, but that was an accident. Okay, so let me just clarify. Wednesday, Shatley, are you saying that your $100 bid was an accident and you wish to withdraw that? If you do, please type in the chat box, and then we'll consider Zach's bid at 90, the high bid. I just want some clarification from Wednesday. Let me scroll down and see here if I see anything else. Okay, I don't see anything from Wednesday. So Wednesday, if you actually want your yes.
The chat is really lagging. I'd give it a few minutes.
Okay. So it sounds like the chat is lagging far behind. It sounds like I'm further into the future. So I just want verification before I close. What?
I believe she means yes. The bid was an accident.
Okay. Okay, so the $100 bid was an accident, so the next highest bidder was Zach at $90. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and leave this open for just another minute right now. The high bid is from Zach at $90. Yeah, everybody's saying that there's a big lag, so I'm going to leave this open for just a little bit longer just to make sure that I don't cut anybody out that wanted a bid or whatever. But right now I have the high bid from Zach at $90 on this Star Tapestry. So I think what I'm going to do is answer one more question and then we'll go ahead and close this out. But right now, $90 is the high bid. Just tied up a GOT. Now realize I forgot soda ash. I guess I can make sure I use plenty of soda ash when I ice dye. Yes. Yes, that's not a problem. As long as you get the soda ash in there before you batch it, you're going to be fine. The geode, of course, you do want to make sure you use extra because that's tied up tightly so that it gets all the way down in there. But yes, if you use plenty of soda ash, and you could even take your bottle of soda ash and just spray the outside of everything, just kind of get it a little bit damp with soda ash, or you could just sprinkle extra on, and yeah, you should be just fine with that. So okay, so I haven't seen any other bids come in here, so I think I'm going to go ahead and close this out. We had the high bid from Zach at $90. So I'm going to go slow with this. If anybody else has another bid, you can type it in there and I will extend it out. But right now we're going to close this out. So we're going once at $90. So we're going twice at $90. Okay, 3 times at $90. And now my little thing is spinning. I'm not sure if we're still active. It looks like the chat room is still active. Julie, are you seeing me back there?
I can see you.
Okay, mine froze, but that's fine. Okay, I haven't seen any other bids, so we're going to go sold at $90 to Zach. So thank you, Zach, and congratulations. You are the winner of the 7 Point Star Tapestry. And of course, I have 2 ways of paying. I can't remember if you have won one yet before or not. But anyways, I just put my launch links in there. And if you scroll down towards the bottom of the list, you can contact me through either Facebook or through my store. Send me your email address if you want an invoice. Or you can go down, I think, on the list in that same launch links. Go down to, I think it's the 5th link. It says donation link through PayPal. You can click there. And the shipping in the US is $7. So your total will be $97. So you can just send me that directly through the PayPal donation link, or you can send me your email address and I will send you an invoice for it. But that concludes the auction. Thank you, Zach, and congratulations. And let me see if I have more questions to answer here. Never tie-dye, but bought a bunch of RIT. Can't find soda ash. Is RIT color stay dye fixative the same thing? I haven't ever used RIT dyes, but if you're going to use RIT dyes, then I would say if they have a RIT color stay dye fixative, then I would say use that with your RIT dyes. But I personally don't have any experience using RIT other than I've just done one thing of RIT color remover, which is definitely not the same thing. So, and soda ash is what's used for the Procyon dyes. So the soda ash isn't going to help your RIT dyes. And the RIT dyes, of course, are not going to produce the same kind of colors that you get from the Procyon dyes. So that's that's something you're going to have to kind of research yourself if you want to get into the RIT dyes. I don't have any information on that. I'm buying a standalone mini washer instead of doing the sink rinse. Do you think it would work to use cold water, say 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and let it run to stop the chemical process? The stopping the chemical process is really about rinsing away the soda ash. So I would make sure to at least do a rinse in the sink, or if you're going to just do a rinse in this mini washer, you don't want to leave it in there for too awful long, because you still have the soda ash in there. So from there, I would take it out of that and put it right into your washer machine that has hot water and Synthropol or Blue Dawn in it. But really the cold water rinse is about washing away, I mean, it washes away some of the excess dyes, but really it's about getting rid of the soda ash, because the soda ash is what activates the dyes. And the main thing that I don't want to take a chance on with the soda ash is having a little bit of it hanging out and reactivating a little bit of those dyes that get released when you turn up the water to warm or hot. So that'll have to be kind of an experiment. I guess you're buying it, so you don't have it yet. Yeah, I don't have any more detail on that. Like I say, I just know as far as the chemical process itself, rinsing in the sink washes that soda ash away. Rinsing it in one of these washers, you're still going to have that soda ash within that water, unless maybe you do a quick rinse and then turn it on and do another full rinse on it. That might work that way. But yeah, from there you're going to need to go into your washer with hot water. And I guess if you can do hot water in your little mini washer, I think that would work too. But yeah, I just don't have any experience with that, so I guess that's about all I can say on that. So, okay. Let's see. It looks like Julie is waiting on Marissa to repeat a question. And sounds like she's got more.
Sorry. I don't mean to be slacking.
Okay, Julie's bringing me more questions, so we'll see what we got here, and then we'll probably close this out soon. I'm new, bought primary color dyes. Do you have a recipe book for secondary or other colors? I don't have a recipe book. As far as mixing your secondary colors, a good place to start is just to do half and half. So you could even mix up your primaries into bottles and then mix your liquids from there. But if you do about half and half, that'll get you at least your orange, your green, and your purple. And then from there, you can adjust them even more if you want your green to be darker. So if you have mixed your turquoise and your lemon yellow to get a green, if you do about half and half, that comes out to being like a Kelly green. But if you add more of the turquoise in, then it's going to be a darker green. If you add more of the lemon yellow in, it's going to be a brighter green. So just for an example, I mix my own bright green, and what I do is I use 3 parts lemon yellow and 1 part turquoise, and that gives me a nice bright green. But if I were to use, like say, half and half, then I would have probably about an emerald green. And the same thing, I mean, the orange is one of the more difficult colors that I found to mix and get a shade that I liked. But yeah, about half and half is a good thing. And then as far as a recipe book for other colors, I don't have a recipe book per se, but I did do a video on mixing colors. I think it was a live video, and I did something else. Oh, I did. Oh no, that was the T-shirt. What was the other one that I did?
Yeah, you did. It was Crazy Spiral Tapestries. You did 2 or 3 of them that day.
Okay, that's not the one, hun. Okay, I'll have to look for it, but there is a live video that I did, and I did one design, and then at the end of that video I did a color mixing section, and I tied up a t-shirt, and I just did kind of a wild spiral on that, so I can look back and see, and then I will put a link to that, the mixing, in the description of this video so that you can find that later on. I just can't remember what that one was called, but I just kind of mixed on the fly. I started out by mixing my dyes in just little small bottles so that I could just get just a little bit of it. But the main thing is, when you're doing your mixing, is to test it out. And I don't have a fresh one. I usually use a white piece paper towel, and I'll mix my dyes, put a drop on there, and then you can kind of adjust it even more. But I can give you just an example. If you want to mix a brown up, you're going to have mostly orange and add just a few drops of purple to that, and that's going to give you a brown. The other thing that will give you a brown is mixing your orange and adding just a little bit of green to that. That'll give you a brown. The other thing you can do for a brown is mix yellow and add just a few drops of purple. So, and then as far as any other colors, it's just a matter of sometimes of experimenting. If you get a color wheel out, that will kind of give you some hints of how to mix colors. Oh, it looks like my mom is leaving. Bye, Mom. Thank you for coming in. But I will find the video where I did the color mixing. I mixed up several different colors and put them on the t-shirt, and I will post that in the description box. Let's see. Have you ever seen the irrigation dyeing with the hot water instant results? Yes, I have. I haven't tried that method out yet, but Kurt Wallace is as far as I am aware of, he's the one that came up with that method, and I do believe he has a few different videos out. You can probably find them over on one of the tie-dye pages. I don't know if he has a YouTube channel or not. But yes, I think that's the same method that Gary Wayne Smith, who told me about the 2-to-1 with the soda ash and the dye, he uses these for his hot water irrigation. So here I used Ice Dye, but I guess you can use these same ones and then use the hot water, which is going to set your t-shirts up faster. So okay, somebody did say that Kurt does have a YouTube channel, so I would look up Kurt Wallace, and he might have some videos then on the hot water irrigation. It's one that I'm going to try at some point, but I don't think I'm going to make a video on it because that is, somebody else's process that they came up with, so I don't want to impinge on that. I will let him speak to his process, but I'm going to try it just because I want to test it out. How long will dyes last when mixed with urea, lutegal, and water softener? A couple weeks, months? That I don't know for sure. I have not used the lutegal or water softener in my dyes. As far as using the urea, the dyes are good kind of until they start smelling like an ammonia. That means that the urea has broken down. So like after I batch my dyes for 48 hours with heat, when I take off the lid, there's a bit of an ammonia smell that comes out. That's fine. It's when you have your dyes mixed into a bottle and you open them up and they smell, then that's probably a time where I would stop using those. But I don't know what that time frame is. I used to use urea in all of my dyes, but I wasn't going through my dyes fast enough, because I would mix up a big jug and then pour it into gallon-sized jugs for my chemical water, my dye chemical water. But then I kept having to pour some out because I didn't use it up fast enough. And I think it was probably about at 3 months. But as far as if you're mixing your dyes with it, I don't know that the other things are going to be what affects it. I think what is going to go out first will be the dyes. What I have found myself is that at 2 or 3 weeks, the colors that you get out of your dye bottles, it starts to go down after that. Like for green, after 2 weeks, the shades will be lighter. A lot of the other colors, they last up to 3 weeks. I'll still get decent colors out of them, but then the shade just gets lighter and lighter the longer you go. I think that will affect your dyes before the water softener, the Ludogol, but I have not used either one of those. Where can I buy sweatshirts for dyeing? The brand that I use of hoodies is Hanes Ultimate Cotton. And they are 90% cotton, 10% polyester, and I believe most of that polyester is probably in the inner lining. So those dye up great. I'll type that in here. But for Sanmar, you need to have a registered business, or at least here in Oregon, I just registered my business name and I was able to sign up for a wholesale account through them. But if you are unable to get a wholesale account, I've also bought the Hanes hoodies directly from Hanes.com. That was a few years back. I don't know if they still do it. And then I've also seen them on JiffyT-shirts.com. So those are a few places you can try out. But basically, it's the Hanes Ultimate Cotton hoodies that you want to look for. Or at least those are the ones I liked. The other brand I used before that was the Gildan, and those were 80% cotton, 20% polyester. And those work good too. Once I found the Hanes, then I switched brands because I like those better. Stop pulling on your beard, it slows the internet. I bet that was Saucy Merritt said that, wasn't it? I'll try to remember that. I've not heard you mention Castelline oil that Sunshine Joy recommends. I use Castelline oil in my dyes. I bought a big bottle of it, and what I do is I put some in a dropper and I add, I think, 12 drops in a 32-ounce bottle when I'm blending my dyes up. It's supposed to help the dyes penetrate better. It was something that I learned about Castelline oil from Jeremy St. Rebel back 6 years ago when I was doing the Peace Labyrinth. The fabric that I had gotten in was really difficult. The dye wasn't penetrating the way that I wanted it to. The fabric was just really rough, and there's at least 15, maybe 20 dyers out there that I sent a bunch of tapestries out and had other dyers participate in the Peace Labyrinth tie-dye. So there's other dyers that can attest to how difficult that fabric was to dye. But the Castelline oil did help that, and I've just continued to use it. I know that Sunshine Joy has on their website something about needing to pre-wash in the Castelline oil before you dye the tapestries. I don't know if there's an issue with that now or not. To me, what I had heard other dyers talking about was there was one batch that they'd gotten in that they needed to do that, but I do believe they've corrected the issue. The main thing is I have not done any pre-wash in Castelline oil myself. I do a pre-wash with in hot water with Synthropol, and I haven't had any issues with dyeing my tapestries. All those tapestries that I dye here on this show, they are all Sunshine Joy tapestries. I think there's only been one or two, I think like the black fabric, and there might have been one other tapestry that was not Sunshine Joy, but all the rest of them were Sunshine Joy. I have not had any issues with them not dyeing up correctly. But like I say, I do a hot water pre-wash with Synthropol. And then I do add the Castelline oil to my dyes most of the time. Every now and then I forget to do it, but most of the time I do it. Let's see. How would you do the New Mexico ZS symbol? I would have to look at a better... Julie drew out a little picture for me here. I would have to look at a better picture, but it's possible that you could fold that fold your tapestry in half and then in quarters, and then you would have your circles. Let me see here. I guess there was just two of them. Yeah, so it would be a matter of, I think, tying your two circles here, tying those off, and then scrunching down, and you're going to probably have to draw this design on the top and the bottom, and then you're going to scrunch both of these lines down and kind of tie it and scrunch those down. But that's the way that I would do it, is I would fold the tapestry into quarters, so then I'm only dealing with just a quarter of that design with the two circles and then the two lines on each side. I drew an extra line here. So as far as this is just the picture that Julie drew for me. I'm sure she probably looked it up or something, but that's how I would go about it. But I will look this symbol up and see if that's something that I want to add to my list of videos. But that would at least get you started in the way that I would kind of start tackling that. And let's see, I think that is all of...
One more
Oh,
question.
Julie has one more question, and then I think we're going to go.
It's about dye life, but it's a new question about dye life.
Let's see, do dyes mixed with just water last longer? That one, I don't know for sure. I haven't done any kind of a test with that. Like I say, I think it's the dye itself. I think that the urea, I'm not sure about the other chemicals that get added in, but the urea takes longer to break down. Like I say, I had just the dye water mixed up in a larger jug, and the dye water didn't go bad. I think it was either 2 or 3 months out, where your dye is going to start deteriorating in color after 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't think that mixing it with just plain water is going to make it last any longer, but it's something that you can test out and see. The one thing that it does make them last longer is storing them in the fridge, but you have to have a spare fridge. Ours is totally full of food, so there's no way that I can squeeze dye in there too. One of these days I'm going to have one of those little college size refrigerators, and it's going to be stuffed full of dye. So anyways, sorry, I just don't know on that. So all I can do is answer from my own personal experience, and I haven't tested that theory out at all. Okay, so it looks like we're done with questions, and we're done with the auction, we're done with the tie-dye. Let's take a little peek to see where we're at on our ice melt. Yeah, that's looking good. We're going to have some nice dark purple going down into the t-shirt there, or into the tapestry. So I'm going to leave this sit over here, like I say, let that ice melt, and then we're going to let it batch for 48 hours, and then I will get it rinsed. So that more than likely is going to put off. I don't think I'll have a reveal video on Friday. Possibly on Saturday, but it might be Sunday before I do my reveal video on this tapestry here. I just want to give it plenty of time to soak in there. So, and I wanted to say thank you to Gary for the recipe on my dyes to help me do this experiment. It's nicer to have a little bit of knowledge before you jump blindly into an experiment. So that was kind of nice. So thank you, Gary, for doing the legwork on that. And to all the rest of you out there, just try to hang in there. We just have to try to stay as positive and peaceful. Try to think about unity. We're going to get through all of this stuff. 2020 has just been a crazy, crazy time. But I do feel in my heart of hearts, down deep in my soul, that we're going to get through this. So Let's see. We got another question just popped up here. What do you use to make a dye ticker? I don't know what a dye ticker is. So you'll need to clarify that. Anyways, if they clarify it, I'll try to answer that. But basically, oh, dye thickener. Okay. I use sodium alginate for my thickening my dye. And I will post a link here in the chat box. This here is how I make my dyes thicker. So you can go there and buy the sodium alginate and then mix it up. The main thing is to use hot water to mix the sodium alginate before you add your salt and your urea. You want the sodium alginate to dissolve, because otherwise if the water cools down too much, then it's not going to dissolve. I had that happen to me once and had to make some alterations. Anyways, thank you guys all.
How's your Q&A website coming?
Oh, it's still coming along.
Ask the question out loud.
What? Oh, somebody want to know how my Q&A website is going. It's coming along. I need to get more of the stuff put in there. It's kind of a process between getting the information written up and then getting it into the website. The website is it's just not my forte. I can do it. It's just time consuming. And with the last week or so with my tooth and everything else that's been going on, Julie's broken leg, and trying to get new videos made, I haven't spent too much time on there, but I do have links to the frequently asked questions page. That's in my launch links, but I will put a link to what I have in here. They're not really organized in any type of fashion, but there's the frequently asked questions page. I'm going to probably add more stuff over onto my Do It Yourself with MrTieDye page. I think I want to try to put links to other places. I know Dharma has a really good frequently asked question thing. I do get some of my answers from the Paula Birch website. So I think I'm going to do another separate post over on my Do It Yourself with MrTieDye page and try to put links to other places where you can go. I'm going to have links, answers to the questions that I can answer, but I don't know everything to do with tie-dye. I can only answer to the things that I've actually done in the last 20 years. But there's lots of answers out there, and I'm going to try to put links to those other places where I can, so that you guys can find answers to your guys' questions. Another place that you can look, I have probably like over 200 videos on my site, and for the last 2.5 years I've been answering questions religiously on all of those videos. Well, all of those videos and the questions and answers are still down below the videos. So if you click on a video and you have a question, you might scroll through the comments section down below, because that question may have been asked and answered down there. So that's another resource for getting your answers, is just on the videos themselves, because I have been doing that. But I'm slowly kind of backing away from that, just because I don't have time to answer the volume of questions that are coming in through YouTube, my email, Facebook, and my Instagram. Actually 3 pages on Facebook. So anyways, I'm going to try to answer the questions as I can, but really, I mean, if I'm going to try to produce videos also, I can't spend 4 to 5 hours every day answering questions. As much as I would like to be able to do that, there's just not enough hours in the day. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling now. We're going to sign off and say goodbye. Go out there and send some love and peace and harmony out to the world, out to your neighbors, out to your friends, your family. Everybody deserves love. We're all one. Unity is where we're headed, and the world is going to change around us. So dream the new world into existence, and all will be well. Thank you guys for joining me for another edition. Peace, love, light, and laughter out to all of you, and have a wonderful week. And I will see you again with the reveal video sometime this weekend, I would guess. Peace. I love you.